All right, I think we're good to start about now. It's 1:02. So first, I want to introduce myself. My name is Cabret Facey, and I'm actually Mobilize's newest employee. I'm the marketing associate here, and I just want to welcome everyone to today's webinar. Really excited to dig deep into the topic. So two things really quickly. We will be sending out a recording later this week, so no worries about that. And also feel free to ask questions in the Q&A, and we will answer them at the end. I'm going to pass the baton to Peter now to get us started. Oh, you're muted, Peter.
Thanks. Sorry, I was having some issues there unmuting. Great. Thank you, Cabret. So as Cabret said, I'm Peter. I'm a product manager here at Mobilize, and I work a lot on the supporter side of stuff. So ways to help improve the experience for supporters and help supporters find things that they want to get involved in. So this talk is going to be about growing your base. I leave in a lot of time for questions. So if you have questions, just ask them in the chat, and we'll get to them at the end. And I have a tendency to talk too fast. So if I'm talking too fast, just message it in the chat, and then Jocelyn or Cabret will make sure that I slow down. So sorry if that is happening or if I'm mumbling too much or anything like that. Cool. So let's talk about growing your base. Overall, at Mobilize, one of the big things we care about is helping to make sure that helping you find more supporters and more supporters find you, and also helping them to come back. So this is going to be about that topic. So one of the first things I want to talk about is Prefill. So what Prefill is when you sign up for an event on Mobilize, you need to fill out information by default. So you'd have to say your name, your email, your phone number. And one cool thing that we do is we pre-fill that information if you've signed up with any organization before. So let's say I were to sign up to volunteer for a presidential race, and then later I was to sign up for another organization. That information would be pre-filled, so I wouldn't have to fill it out again. And this is a way that as more organizations use Mobilize, it helps make it better for every other organization. And we've done a test about when we're adding and removing prefill to understand how important this really is. And having prefill increases signups by 11%. So prefill is really important, and it's a key way that we're able to help. We're able to provide something that then, as you join the Mobilize network, every organization that joins and every supporter that joins is making it better for future organizations. And so far, we've had 2 million people who've signed up for events on Mobilize, with more signed up every day. And so it's a lot of opportunities for prefill to be happening, which hopefully results in a lot more registrations for you. So that's prefill. That's one of the ways that we're helping to grow your base by making sure that when people come to sign up for an event, they're less likely to drop off and more likely to complete it and successfully sign up. Great. So the next thing I want to talk about, I'm sorry, as I said, I have a tendency to go too fast, so I'm going to force myself to slow down a bit. Next thing I want to talk about is promotion. And this is a way where different organizations inside of Mobilize are able to promote events that other organizations are hosting. So for example, I took this screenshot of the Mobilize website yesterday, and this is the Mobilize feed, the overall one, is promoting this event that is hosted by Jobs with Justice, or is promoting this event that is hosted by Virginia Victory. And this is it's a great way for you, whether you are an organization that wants to promote events, or you're an organization that wants your events to be promoted, to tap into the network as a way to increase signups for your organization, or to help your supporters support other organizations that you care about and whose events you want to promote. During the 2018 campaign cycle, 28% of shifts came from promotion. So this is a really important part, a lot of the volunteering and supporting that happened during the 2018 cycle. And that's promotion. So that's another way that the Mobilize network is able to help you grow your base as other organizations encourage people to attend your events. Cool. Event suggestions. So this is a cool new feature we added this year, so it's relatively new. And the way this works is after someone signs up for an event, we will suggest other events from the same organization for you to RSVP to. So this happens after you sign up on the website in a dialogue. We also do this like in emails. For example, we just started when you provide feedback in an email, or when we're asking you for feedback after the event, asking you if you want to sign up for another shift. And we also ask you over SMS. So say after you give, like you attended an event, you said it was good, you gave positive feedback, we say, can you sign up for another event right now while it's top of mind? Find one here. In June, this was more than 14% of signups came from the event suggestions feature. So this is a cool example where it's something that didn't exist at the beginning of the year, and we've added it during this year. And it's already driving 14% of events of signups. So that's a lot more volunteering that's happening because of this new feature. One way this helps with growing your base is that event suggestions are even more important for promoted signups, the type of signups we just talked about before. So when someone signs up for an organization that's promoting a bunch of other organizations' events, 28% of the signups from that come from these follow-on suggestions that help people discover even more events and organizations. And just to be clear, if someone goes to your feed and signs up for an event there, we're only going to suggest other events from your feed. But if someone goes to a promoting feed and signs up for an event, then we'll suggest other events that they are promoting as well, which is how they can discover more organizations. So people only learn about other stuff if it's something that you are trying to do as an organization. So that's event suggestions, and it's surfaced in a bunch of spots. And then the next thing I want to talk about is bring a friend. So bring a friend is our social experience where we encourage people to bring a friend with them to an event. In the physical world, this meant actually coming in person with a friend. But we found that in the shift to virtual, people still bring friends to an event, and this is still used all the time. So we ask in a bunch of different ways. One way is we ask after you sign up. We also have native sharing. So whatever apps or contacts you talk to on your phone or use on your phone, you're able to share to those. So you can text it to whoever you text the most, or you can share to Slack, which I happen to use a lot for work, or to Facebook, or to Messenger, or to whatever makes sense. We also go to you where you are. So when we send you the confirmation SMS or the registration SMS, saying you've registered for this event, we send you a link that you can forward to your friends who you also may be interested in the event. And this is a great way to grow your base on these features, because 20% of people who register in a month did so at least once from the bring a friend invite. So this is a way that your supporters are able to expand the number of people who support your cause and bring more people into your cause. So that's the bring a friend feature. And we're constantly doing more to make that better. Since the beginning of this year, we've more than doubled the percent of people who are coming from bring a friend. And we're continuing to work on it to try and improve this for everyone, because it's an important way to help everyone grow. The last feature I want to talk about, and then there's tons of time for questions about each of the features and other questions you may have, is distributed organizing. So that's also commonly referred to as volunteer hosting. But this is a way for supporters to host events for your organization. So for example, if I'm a volunteer and you have an event campaign that you would like more people to make events for, I can host like a debate watch party, or I can host just a watch party of a live stream you're doing, or whatever it is, a canvassing, etc. We've seen from the data that these help expand reach. So volunteer hosting helps you reach areas that you may not have supporters in. So if we look at this map over here, the blue, so each dot is on a zip code, and the size of the dot is how many shifts happened inside that zip code. And the blue means it's an admin hosted event, and the green means it's a volunteer hosted event. And as you can see here, there's a lot of parts of the US that only had volunteer hosted events during the time we looked at this. And that's because these volunteer hosted events were helping to expand reach and helping people to reach more, helping organizations to reach areas they wouldn't normally reach if they were just hosting events from the organization. And this is true for physical events, but it turns out it's also true for virtual events, and that people still like to sign up for events that are hosted near them so they can build a sense of community. And these volunteer hosted events and distributed events help with that. Another interesting data point about these volunteer hosted events is that we've seen that they bring in more first-time volunteers than an organizer hosted event. So if an organizer hosts a watch party in a zip code and a volunteer hosts a watch party in a zip code, the volunteer ones bring in more new people. And I don't have the exact reason for why that is, but two potential reasons is one, they're likely to do it in areas that are further away from where organizers normally are. But two also is, it's very likely that they bring their friends into the fold. So when you're hosting an event, you reach out to people who you think might be interested, and they're more likely to say yes because you're hosting it. So that's a way for you to expand your base as well. And then we have also this other data point, which is really cool, that volunteers who first attend a supporter-hosted event instead of an organizer-hosted event actually are much more likely to come to a second event. So we looked at retention of volunteers based on their first event for events of the same size. And volunteer-hosted events have much better retention for new volunteers. So it's a great way for people to bring in new volunteers who actually stick around. So to summarize, I talked a bit about Prefill, which was a way that as each organization uses Mobilize and people sign up for their events, it helps all other organizations. I talked about promotion, which is a way for you to either promote other organizations' events or have your events promoted by other organizations. And we talked about event suggestions, where we suggest more events for people. Bring a friend, which 20% of signups in a month came from Bring a Friend, and it grows your base that way. And distributed organizing, which helps volunteer hosts to grow your base by expanding your reach. And we're constantly working on most of these features. So promotion, event suggestions, Bring a Friend, distributed organizing, these are things we're continuing to make better. And we're constantly paying attention to Prefill and thinking of new ways to improve that too. So the numbers I gave you are where we're at now, but many of them are in a much better spot than they were at the beginning of the year because we're continually trying to improve this. So with all of that in mind, I'm happy to answer questions about any section or other stuff that comes up. Jocelyn may have to answer some of them, depending on what the question is and whether I know the most about that area. But add your questions with the chat or the Q&A, and then Cabret will ask them to me or Jocelyn, and we'll answer. And I can go back in the slides if you want to look back at something.
Awesome. So we have a few questions. First question for either Peter or Jocelyn. Do people who sign up have their email address shared with any organization or candidate for fundraising? We are concerned about the security of our emails.
Yeah, let me make sure I understand the question. So when someone signs up for an event, their email address is going to be shared with the organization that is either promoted that sign up or hosted the event, depending on where they came from. So if you're hosting an event and someone signs up for it, then your organization, sorry, let me figure out how to phrase this properly. The email address will be shared with you as the organization, but they won't be shared with other organizations. The data that's attached to your organization is like for your organization. Mobilize also has the email address because that's how we send notifications to them. For example, about a reminder that the event is coming up or a confirmation. It's also how we put the calendar invite on their calendar. But the email address isn't like given to other, we don't give the email addresses to other organizations or things like that. And if that didn't answer your question, then feel free to clarify and ask again. But I think that's what you were asking.
We have another question about pricing.
Oh, that's going to be Jocelyn, I think, if Jocelyn knows, but we maybe need someone else, but we'll see what Jocelyn can do.
I'm on the partnerships team, but you can go to join.mobilize.us, I think is what it is. Is that right?
Yeah.
And you can find and sign up for a demo there. That will give you more information on pricing and all of that. Definitely, I am more on the, like, once you've gotten the platform, I teach you how to use it, so I'm not on the partnership side. There is one in the chat though I wanted to address. I had mentioned to the person, Frank, that I would address it. This came in through it. There was a question. So like many others, we're utilizing Zoom to conduct our county committee and club events. What's your advice on using it most effectively and I think securely is part of the question. And this comes up a lot. Folks definitely like to have those passwords. Zoom bombing is a thing. It's happened to my 13-year-old son in his middle school classes, so it's all over the place. What we generally recommend is to use that the post communication. So once people have signed up for the event, you have the private details section that you can send in the confirmation email. You can send a Zoom link there. And then on the Zoom side, you could set it up to maybe like require a password, and you can use Mobilize messaging maybe like 30 minutes before the event to send it out to your confirmed folks. So you have that like additional layer if you really want to get super secure on it. But generally speaking, people who sign up for an event and you've done the confirmation, folks are okay with that, and they include the Zoom link and the private details there. But the extra layer could be including a password and sending it out through Mobilize messaging.
And it's something we're very conscious of improving because we know that organizations are using Zoom more and more. So we're definitely interested in any feedback you have on it of ways to make that better. I also want to go back to the pricing question. I do want to add that we do have like a self-service starter accounts. So if you want to give things a try, the starter accounts, I believe, work for up to 5 events. So like if you're to that scale or grassroots, you can try with that if you want to try Mobilize first.
Awesome. And we had someone ask, they thought this was a demo, but I think we kind of explained that just now. This was more topic specific, but I did provide the link to access that information in the chat. Do you sell the data, and who do you share it with?
No, so we don't sell the data. So the data is shared with, so the data is obviously shared with your organization. And we also have the data on Mobilize. When volunteers use are with multiple organizations, then each data gets the relevant data to that organization. So if I sign up for an event with your org and I sign up for an event with another organization, you each know about the respective signups for your own organizations. But we don't sell the data to anyone else. No.
And then we had another final question. What does shift mean in number 2, the verb or the noun? I know we had a question in the chat about shifts.
Great question. Okay. I should say I'm really bad with word choice on this stuff. And the reason is, and I don't know which part I used shifts in, but here we go. The reason is our different organizations that use Mobilize use different framing. So if you're a campaign, if you're maybe an advocacy, or you're a union, or you're a nonprofit, each one has their own word choice. And sometimes I call it signups, sometimes I call it shifts, sometimes I call it registrations or RSVPs. But all I meant by this was 28% of promotion signups, or 28% of signups came from promotion. So 28% of the registrations that happened for events came from promotion. And I hope that clarifies the question, but if not, feel free to ask again. And in case I said it somewhere else in some other way, and I can clarify that.
I think you clarified. We got a big thank you there. Can you please talk about the new feature of messaging that was available for this webinar? When will that be rolled out to clients?
Yes, love to talk about that because that's something that I work on, so I know about that. So that feature is in testing right now, and a few organizations are testing it. If you are an organization that would like to test it, we can actually turn it on for you. So what we like to do is we like to have some feature, we like to like try things at first and see if there's feedback and ways to iterate before we roll it out broadly. And there's some concerns about chat related to trolling. So we wanted to make sure we had sufficient controls in place for organizations to handle that. So a couple organizations expressed interest in trying it first. If you already have Mobilize and you want to try that out, just talk to me and Jocelyn afterwards, we'll reach out to you and you can message us or email us and we can set it up for you and give you the information about it. As to when it is going to roll out more broadly beyond organizations that reach out to us, I don't know for sure. We're going to collect all the feedback from organizations over the next week and then figure out what changes to make. My guess is it would be within a month from now. But it kind of depends on the feedback and what changes we need to make to that. But definitely just message us and we can reach out to you and set it up for you. And we would love your feedback on it based on your events and how chat goes and how that works. And I guess I should explain the feature a little more. You experienced a bit of it, but what it does is if you turn it on for an event, it'll kick off a chat initiation email 48 hours before the event is happening, before the shift is happening. And for that event, all the people who have RSVP'd are on one chat thread, but their email addresses are hidden, but they're able to reply and ask questions. And so far, we've seen it be really helpful for logistical things for people. For example, if someone put the wrong Zoom link in by mistake when they're the organizer, people are able to recover. And we've also seen people talk to each other after the event and schedule another event together through it, which is really cool. So we've heard really good feedback. We've also made some adjustments to how you can block people who are maybe more malicious. But if you reach out to us, we'll figure that out for you.
All right. We have another question related to campaigns. Do you handle local judicial campaigns? And for clarification, they mean a state Supreme Court race.
To be honest, don't know the answer. We do local races are allowed, use Mobilize. I don't know if there's any reason that a judicial one wouldn't. Jocelyn, do you know?
I mean, we work with a lot of state parties, and so there's sometimes we would say, go to your state party and you probably will get access. It depends on where you are. It's kind of like a wide variety of ways that we kind of support different campaigns, but generally speaking, we have Democrats on our platform running their campaigns. So I think as long as it's not a contentious primary or something like that, and I think we're pretty much past that phase of the year, generally speaking, it's probably no issue. You might want to reach out, get a demo. It may be possible that it's covered through your state party already, though.
And we can introduce, if you reach out, we'll set you up with someone who knows the answer for sure.
All right. If you have any other questions, go ahead and get them in. We're happy to answer them.
It sounds like a lot of folks are interested in the chat, just from the Zoom chat.
That's great.
So I gave my email. Feel free to email me. We'll be sending out stuff as well, following up. So basically, if you're interested, please reach out to us and we will work together to get it turned on for you.
Sorry, I'm still showing that slide. What other
Any more questions?
Sorry.
Yes, we want all of your questions.
Yes, great time for questions.
Lori said she's missing your email.
How about this? I'll reply to the chat, so you can all see what happens when someone when an organizer replies, and then
can you give our emails, Peter?
Yeah, and I'll include our emails in it, so that way you can reach out to us directly there.
Perfect.
But I'll do that after the event because I can't really use my computer while the screen is presenting.
Great.
Oh, all right, we have another question about integrating events into Facebook events. Someone's been asked about that.
Yeah, so let's talk about
Any specific?
Yeah, I'll talk about how, like, Facebook stuff in general. So
Okay.
when people talk about our Facebook for events on Mobilize, there's usually two different contexts that people think about it in. One context is the attendee sharing stuff to Facebook. And in that context, which I'll go back to here, we have a lot of share flows for that. And a lot of shares actually happen on Facebook. So a lot of the RSVPs that come from Bring a Friend are from people sharing to Facebook. So for example, you can do the post to Facebook here. On your phone, you can choose Facebook here. And then we see this as a pretty common behavior that happens. Sometimes the other thing that people are talking about with Facebook, and I don't know which one you're referring to, so I'm just going to answer both, is creating like the organizer sharing on Facebook or the organizer making an event on Facebook. And we don't have any sort of automatic integration at the moment where we automatically make an event for you on Facebook. But definitely send us feedback. The more we hear about different things, it helps us figure out what to prioritize and build. Right now, what happens is for some orgs that do want to do that, they can share the link themselves to Facebook or kind of do it in their own way. But there's no automatic integration at the moment on the organizer side.
Yeah.
Jocelyn, do something to add?
I can share just what I see folks doing a lot. So there are a wide variety of ways to do it, but a Facebook event essentially allows you to make it a ticketed event, and you can make it a free ticketed event. And so the Mobilize link could be used for that ticket that people would be purchasing or not purchasing. But that's a really great way to both like get that virality that you get from a Facebook event in tandem with the sign up and all of those automated confirmations and the data capture that you get, not with Facebook, but with Mobilize, and sort of weaving the two together. Folks do that even with Facebook Live events. So you could create a Mobilize event and share your Facebook page, and just the instructions would be at this time, go to the Facebook page and we'll be doing something live. So there's a lot of ways that you can sort of use them in tandem with each other. But there, as Peter said, there's not like a out of the box integration.
All right, so we don't have any other questions. I just want to give you guys like another minute to maybe roll in some other questions if you have any before we close things out.
Yeah, and if you have a question, if you need to go, feel free to go. If you have a question, we're happy to keep answering questions. So.
Yeah. Oh, another question. Awesome. All right. So this one says, my Mobilize dashboard account lists a role name, so like ex-county Democrats, but then when I sign up for other events, any org using the same address, it sends it to the event organizer using the role name rather than my own name as listed in the form. Can that be fixed? Maybe I need to write this out for y'all. Did you get that question, Peter? Or did you?
I got it. It sounds to me like a bug that I will look into, unless Jocelyn already knows about this.
Well, it is also likely that your like name is sort of hard coded, like that is your user persona. So it is possible that we can change it for you as well. You may want to write into chat. So when you're on the platform, the bottom right corner, the little blue chat bot, you might want to write into us just so that we can take a look at your account and make sure that it's not just something that we could quickly edit and change for you. Otherwise, I think Peter is right, and it might just be a little bug that we could fix. But definitely, if you don't mind coming in through support, that's probably the best way to expedite fixing that issue. No more questions.
Yeah,
That's okay.
I think that might.
We can give them some time. Takes time to type some things, and want to make sure that anyone who has questions can ask them.
Yeah, we'll sticking around. So again, if you need to leave, go ahead. But if you still have any questions, go ahead and ask.
And I'll just shamelessly plug that we have a weekly onboarding and a weekly virtual events training every Friday, not this Friday because we will be closed in observance for the holiday weekend, but every Friday that's not a holiday Friday, we are running 2 trainings. So we'll make sure to include those in follow up. Those are definitely, I saw a couple questions that folks might want to join and have a little bit more time in kind of a training sense too.
All right, we have another question. In signing up for a candidate account, I will be the administrator. Will the candidate also be able to access the dashboard, or is it only one admin sign in?
Yeah, so you would be able to create a user for the candidate if you wanted them to be an admin as well.
Yeah, so some organizations have a lot of admins, and some are just one person, but you can definitely set one up for additional person.
Great questions. And thank you, Steve, for all you do.
Anything else? Cool, we'll go 1 more minute here. Unless there's a question, then we'll go for longer. But that way we make sure that if you have something, you can type it up and take the time to do that.
Someone said they were having an issue with their email signing up for a demo, like the demo would not accept their email address.
Okay, let's see. Could you maybe if you email one of us, let me put my email right here inside the chat. If you email me, we'll figure out how to set you up there. I never actually remember what my email is. I think is it mobilize2020.us or mobilize2020.org? Org. Okay, great. There we go. So I sent that to the chat.
Right. Great. All right, awesome. So I think we could, all right, one second. All right, fine. This is a great wrap up. So someone asked if the recording and the slides will be sent. Yes, we will be sending this out, so no worries about that. Are you still doing the Friday trainings? Not this Friday because our office will be closed. With that being said, Peter or Jocelyn, do you have any final notes or comments or anything?
No, one thing is I'll make sure to respond to the chat thread, and anyone who wants to email me there or message me there, we can set you up with chat. I'll also look at the people who put their emails inside the Zoom chat as well, and then I'll reach out to all of you.
Yes, and if your email wasn't working, please reach out to Peter. He did put his email address in that chat again. But yeah, thank you all for joining us today, and we're gonna wrap things up. Have a safe holiday weekend.
Great.
Well, bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Let's see here.